Allow me to introduce the Kenya Medical Association.
Please do.
Kenya Medical Association celebrated 50 years of existence in 2018, and we have a video online on that. I was the producer. I also have other skills.
Okay.
Then its twin mission is to take care of welfare of its members, and this contributes to the highest quality of care for Kenyans. Once the members of Kenya Medical Associations, their welfare is taken care of, then the highest quality of healthcare is taken, and that's a very important point, which is often missed. Your healthcare workers must have good quality life. And its structure is, it has a National Executive Council and a National Governing Council. Yeah, and it is devolved.
It's devolved?
Yes. Kenya Medical Association is devolved, having 15 divisions. And the National Governing Council consists of the leadership of each of the divisions. Nairobi, Nyeri, Machakos, Eldoret, Nanyuki, Embu, Kisumu, Kitale, Nakuru, Coast, Garissa, Nyahururu are the divisions that combine that area.
So come up to the top and all of them now sit in there.
Yes. Every quarter, the National Governing Council meets to make resolutions to see how Kenya Medical Association can assist in the highest quality health of education. Over and above the devolution, which makes it effective, the country came in late in terms of devolution. It has 15 committees. And the one currently handling the coronavirus outbreak is the Public Health Committee. The Public Health Committee is Public Health, Road Safety, and Anti-Tobacco Committee. That is one committee. The other 15 committees operate to provide quality of care, include an awards committee. You have to award people for good work they have done. And what City Muga and do see a lot, and research. We have the East African Medical Journal. The oldest Kenyan journal is run by the Kenya Medical Association. Established in 1918 under the British Medical Association, it was taken over in the EMJ. So medicine is about research, and I've heard City Muga often quoting that you must research for you to be able to. Therefore, we have publications in the East African Medical Journal. All this is contributing to what Kenya Medical Association is doing to the healthcare of Kenya. The other committees of KMA include HIV/AIDS Committee. In the year 2001, when the AIDS pandemic hit, I was a young graduate of the University of Nairobi. I am the Millennium class. This year, I invite you, in August, we'll be celebrating 20 years in medicine. My class has people at the top coordinating this coronavirus outbreak. The HIV/AIDS Committee of Kenya trained the whole of Kenya on how to manage HIV. And I was trained also by that, and therefore, in this coronavirus era, again, this committee is charged with working with the Ministry of Health to come up with training materials so as to protect Kenya. We have the Human Rights Committee, whose report in 1995 led to the decrease. There was a lot of human rights issues. And we collected the evidence. The doctors recorded that this person came, their injuries are ABCD. We represented them in court, and we supported IMLU, Independent Medical. And a lot of our members became part of IMLU. And that led to the reparations for human rights abuses in that. We have the ICT committee, of which I'm a member, and Dr. Abdi Mohammed is the convener. We consider ourselves an ICT medical association company, and therefore you'll find a lot of our material online. If you go now to our website, KMA, you will see all this material that I'm talking about, including the achievements and our way forward. In the year 2000, we decided for you to check government, you need money. For you to check government, you need money. So we decided to come up with a project that would make Kenya Medical Association sustainable, so that you are not subject to manipulation. So we came up with KMA Center. If you go to Mara Road, where the KMA Center is up there, and that is a way of trying to protect yourself from government interference, so to speak, so that you are not reliant on them. We have managed healthcare committee. very important in this era of NHIF. It is the one that gives advice on what to do with NHIF. The other committees are reproductive health and a very important one called Physician Health Committee. Physician Health Committee, if your physician is having challenges in you don't want to go to a physician and he looks like he needs more help than you.
So if a physician is sick?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the Physician Health Committee, there are 3 ways of reporting. I can report myself. I say I'm feeling like I'm going bonkers.
How often does that happen?
We need research. I think we'll ask the EMJ to do that. Then the second one is reporting by a colleague. And the third one is reporting by the public. So if Do feels like the physician, then you can report to the Kenya Medical Association, who work with the Medical Council to try to see, because we are human beings. We are not immune to that thing. And we have the KMA Trust, which is trusted in the property and running the affairs of the community. And we have the final one. As we grew older in the association, we realized that the older people cannot solve the young people's problems. They can't, because you're not in that space. Only the shoe bites the wearer. So we have a young doctors network, and the cut-off limit was said to be 35 years, and they've been doing their thing, telling us what do the young need, and therefore settling that. Now, that's how we operate. And now, the subsidiaries of Kenya Medical Association include the SACCO. Why is the SACCO important? SACCO is about credit and saving. Credit and saving. We encourage credit and saving, and our SACCO is stable. 2 billion worth of capital. And we also have Kenya Medical Association Housing. Now, this is where it gets. Housing started when became very important when the previous regime threw doctors out of Kenyatta National Hospital for going on strike, for fighting for the rights of them and their people. So doctors all of a sudden who are government workers found themselves in the street. You go to Kenyatta outside there and find your baby on the road from a previous regime. Therefore, the Kenya Medical Association decided dignity needs to be preserved. Let's have KMA housing, which gives you a way of trying to own your own house. And so far, we have successes in Langata, South Sea, Riara Road, Kitengela, and Twapa. Our biggest problem comes when the government failed to protect us. I was supposed to be owning a house along Mombasa Road. So we collect money, pay slowly, bought the land. And then when we started building, the owner came with a title.
You realized
in 2011, someone came and said this is like, and they had
been duped.
They had sold to 3 companies. We've been to court in the last 10 years. You can imagine
this
my money.
Sounds to me, Dr. Kigondu, like yes. What you have is a welfare association.
It is
right?
A welfare association.
And I'm at pains to distinguish between
a successful one,
a very successful one at that, and I'm at pains also to distinguish between that and what the union also does, yes. Because it appears like all of you are working towards just the welfare of the medics. Now let's talk about us.
Okay,
right?
I was coming
consumers.
to that.
How this association works to the benefit.
How this welfare association
works to the benefit of our welfare.
Correct. Up to 2011, the Kenya Medical Association could not call a strike. It could not call a strike, but it negotiated the welfare of its members and therefore the good health care of Kenyans through negotiations. I'll give you an example. In the year 2001 to 2002, we did medical camps together with NHIF. And the final medical camp was in Baringo. I participated as a
What is a medical camp?
A medical camp is a situation where you collect professionals and go to an underserved area. And in 1 week, you see the patients, collect all the data of that particular area, treat some people. Actually, there is a medical camps committee, treat some people, and refer some of those to the major hospitals. You see, so we are saying if you have you're not covered, let's say, for instance, And then you go to a place and people who have not received medical access to
Places
medicine.
where you're
Yes.
saying either because they're remote or the people are financially incapable,
Yes.
do not access healthcare.
Yes.
So you more or less take healthcare that ordinarily they wouldn't have to them.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And up to Twitter. Now we couldn't call. So we had to negotiate with government. You had to do proposals. And the current proposal that has put the health workers in a better position than they were before was crafted by the Kenya Medical Association, and that brought a big change to health. How would I do that? After the negotiated agreement in terms of civil service, then in the Kibaki regime, that was the time when there was a reversal of employment. People left private
To come back to
public, and the public services improved. That already an impact. You can see just by negotiating.
So was this you or was it the union?
I'm coming to that.
Or
The
you weren't
union
on the same-
had not been formed.
Oh, okay.
KMA was acting the union's fault. Now, when in 2010, a group of medical students asked, now how much do these doctors paid? Then they realized, these doctors are underpaid. Then they formed Doctors Against Poor Pay that evolved into the union that in 2011 now became registered under the union with the help of Atwoli. He was saying, I see your problems. What you need now here. Now in 2011, unions came. Now, health strikes evolve every decade. Every decade, you have a strike. 71, 81, 92, 93. The only year that there was no strike was in the year 2000. Was in the decade 2000 to 2010. Why? The negotiations by KMA made the welfare of doctors and all health workers very good. KMA also pushed the Health Service Commission into the constitution. We participated very actively and defined what health should be in a devolved state. Unfortunately, this was misinterpreted. And therefore, the current
state of
devolution is not what we used. Because when we were devolving health and giving input, we used the National Health Sector Strategic Plan 2.
Okay, Dr. Kingon, I'm glad you've done this because what you've made very clear at this point is that there is some strength within the association and there are certain chords that seem to be very strong in terms of what you're able to do as far as influence. Now, if we go right now to the matter at heart and we ask ourselves what is going on in this country, then how far are you able to influence in terms of what can be done, in terms of measures, whether it is in terms of what should be done or in terms of the communication that should be out there from a medical point of view?
Coronavirus outbreak?
Absolutely.
Excellent. So previously, we noted that the efforts to manage coronavirus, as it were, the outbreak, were political. In terms of you have a medical illness, and they're trying to manage it politically. So we of course
examples, please.
We got concerned. For instance, the
flight
task team set up. Actually, the flight was
political.
Yeah, you see, the flight was political. From a medical point of view, our heart sank. We could not believe. But now in context, when you look at things in context, and therefore we called the minister. And the minister told them, no, you cannot do this. You must incorporate professionals. And maybe you have noticed that incorporation of professionals has actually led to a better way of managing the epidemics. For instance, the professionals say that you close schools. I mean, babies, children should one case study of a child. The whole school and therefore now spreads to the country. You have to close down from the recommendations of all this. And I'm happy, Standard Group, there are sanitizers everywhere. Very good. I told the gentleman that I'll recommend automatic sanitizer where you place your hand to avoid also contact or this, because you might use the sanitizer as an agent of corona. And that's the point. So yesterday, we were in the task force. And, some of these things done, the discussions going on, you may not be privy to until you're inside. And a lot of the people in the task force discussion yesterday, we at Pan Africa was the president, Dr. Jacqueline Kitulu, contributing Yeah. And our main contribution as the government looks at where the resources come on is protection of the workers, of the frontline workers, and correct detection. And that has been our case. We have been in discussion with our health, and they keep calling us. They tell us. So, for instance, this patient has corona, but we don't know. They come through our patient. We see them, then they say a cough, then later they tell you they were in Italy.
Yeah.
So you've been exposed to them. What protection is being given? Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where Kenya Medical Association now comes in the input towards that.
All right, still talking about welfare of the members, of course, that's your primary focus, right? But also when you come out of this short break, when you took a look at whether we come out of this short break, now we go into the other aspects and also your visibility. So yes, you say, for example, in this case of the coronavirus, you saw it was taking a lot of political decisions into consideration and you needed the input of the professionals. Why is it that you only choose to use the soft side of things where politicians and softness don't mix? This is a situation room. On the hot seat this morning is Dr. Simon Kigondu, the Secretary General of the Kenya Medical Association.
Testing.
Blow into the mic.
Daktari, what successes would you say KMA has had in ensuring that the public health of the Kenyans whom they serve and who form the client base that they work among has been? 3 successes.
Yep. Kenya Medical Association believes in a tax-funded, public-led universal health coverage.
Tax-funded, public-led.
Yes. So the protection of that will mean that Kenyans get universal health coverage.
Mm-hmm.
In 1996, Kenya Medical Association was inserted into the NHIF Act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The chairman, then now the president, represents Kenya Medical Association as the insurer, health insurer.
Mm-hmm.
The reason for this is to protect public finances from being used for anything else other than public health. In NHIF, the success of Kenya Medical Association has been its protection.
Hey, good morning. How are you? Salama.
Has been to protect the public health, national health insurance fund from being, in quotes, emptied, so to speak. That protects the Kenyan public directly.
It is supposed to protect.
Yes.
Because recent events shows the complete opposite of what you're saying. But carry on.
Yes. And maybe I can give you solid examples. Information you may not be privy to, but we are privy to being members of them. In 2011,
Yes.
two firms took over. They claimed they can provide civil service with medical care, medical cover, care, literally, because when you're given the fund, you're told, this is the money, make sure you're provided. Ironically, I was the medical superintendent of Isiolo District Hospital then. And for 1 month, we had an Facebook tiff with the people. They were actually arguing that they were right. They were saying, we are an entity that competitively bidded for NHIF and were given the cover. Let me give you the irony. I, consultant obstetrician gynecologist, medical superintendent, Isiolo District Hospital, DMSO, I was in charge of a zone of 8 hospitals. I was under NHIF cover. I was allocated to a office in Isiolo town, allocation as in that's where I need to get my treatment. At a clinic with no doctor. And that is where I was supposed to receive medical cover. I told them, I have a whole hospital. I can see all your patients. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And it became a very big case. I don't know whether you know about it.
No, we don't. You don't speak about it.
They were actually charging. No, it's been right. So if I mentioned it, then you get it. It became a big case because it's fraud. You give people money and claim you can provide healthcare.
Yeah, the issue of clinics.
When I went to the ministry, I asked them, what is all this? But and as I always told you, when you look at health has always been looked as a They start with the procurement. Then you don't even end up with the care of the patient. You see, so for all these years, and the case has been going on, KMA has been a witness because in the NHIF board meetings we objected. You get, and of course, when you start objecting, you're left out. So that's a success story.
So
and
agitation is a success for you.
No, objecting in a board meeting,
Which could be described as agitation by the time you're going and people are hearing your voice.
Yes.
So agitation is one thing that can be marked as a success of the KMA through
but
processes.
they choose to operate like what Millie Odhiambo was telling us, not making noise in public,
Not
but
demanding, but urging. And encouraging.
No, about the boardroom decision is the most important. So if you and you know,
and it's
protect,
faster for you.
It's not faster. We are in the board. We are there to protect the rights and liberties of the Kenyan people. So when we object, we don't go out and say, now we objected.
This is the point. You should.
No.
You don't walk out of board meetings.
No, we don't walk out of
parallel press
No, you don't need to
conference and
walk
say,
out.
We disagree.
You can sit there for the duration of the meeting, but you let people know that you are objecting to certain things, or that you're
And even
introducing
inform them
other
that you're going to
things
talk about it publicly
it.
because there's public harm which is clearly underfoot.
Yeah.
In fact, where I'm
board,
going with
what they
this,
call
yes.
board, what do they call when the cabinet, when people disagree in the cabinet, when the people disagree in cabinet, what do they call it? Collective responsibility.
Oh, we understand that principle.
Yeah.
We understand it.
Yeah.
That's why when there's a failure, you are collectively
We
taking
lump you
that failure.
together. Yes.
If you object
Excellent.
and you object strongly,
Yeah.
then it's clear that this is
So
an objection.
secondly,
and
now
this is why you're
let's go
coming in.
down the line.
Yes.
We are still there. This one we are in.
Remember last week I told you you're part of the problem. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm coming to show you.
Yes,
that
and I'm trying to say now you can understand why. If you're part of this monolith that is taking us nowhere extremely fast, you know what is wrong. You've even stated it in that boardroom, but the rest of us don't know.
Yeah.
What was the agitation for joining? Let's stick with us this one for a while.
NHIF.
Right.
And I'm
What was
coming.
the agitation for joining NHIF? It's so that you can go and influence better management of NHIF.
Yes, to
Right?
to provide
In the interest
In
of
the interest of not just your members, but the interest of
the public.
quality healthcare for all.
Very good. Now, when you go into that board and you find that things are still not moving, and you're trying to agitate and push for these things, and you're still being ignored because you're one voice out of 7. There are 7 board members in NHIF, isn't it? So 1 out of 7, you're still outnumbered. What do? Yet you represent us, the entire republic, and you understand the issues that are being discussed.
Yeah.
What do? You sit there and you say, all right, so we've been outvoted, it's okay.
You start with the end in mind. We have been here before. We've come out. People have had strikes. Yeah? We've enrolled in the streets.
Yeah.
But the political twist, will be told by no, those doctors have refused to go back. For instance, if they go on industrial action. But I can safely tell you, currently, again, our representative, Dr. Jacqueline Kitulu, is taking very good care of the National Health Insurance in terms of protecting.
I'm sorry, I have to stop you right there.
Yep.
Because it's hard for me to reconcile.
Envision.
It's hard for me to envision or reconcile NHIF with what we see now, a fund that it's on its knees, and then to say that very good care is taken care, very good care is being applied when it then comes to the interest of your members and the interest of the public at large when it comes to health. Again, against the background of a health system that we have seen, not just been told, is on its knees, Dr. Kingondu. I mean, let's look at it as
you
it
have
is.
nailed you have hit the nail on the head. We have been advocating for a strong health system, and some of our suggestions, so to speak, have been put in place. Some of them, and some have been ignored. So when and I always say, a bad system against a good individual tires the individual. After all of that. And after some time, it now depends on what time
the individual is followed up.
So the health system is the suggestions that are put in, and if not implemented, and that's where I wanted the team here to help me, because we have all these writings. There's a report that says these people have been taken to court. It's a court case, you see. There's a report that actually shows she may not see the successes now, but in a few years, because we have come in and said, no, this is a problem. This is what you need to change. You get, for instance. And this is typical of budgeting. Nowadays, people don't come to argue. they take away from you at the budget level.
Yep.
You see?
Yep.
So if we come and say, no, this budget doesn't look correct as an association, we don't necessarily have to go out shouting. We say, no, we object at a board level.
And we're trying to tell you that, you see, the method that you use aren't working. And they're not working because you know you work for the government.
Yeah.
With the government, it will take forever. And in your lifetime, you may not even see any possible change. Agitation becomes necessary when you have an obstinate system that doesn't seem to listen to anything else.
You know, actually, City, it's not even the government. Look at the composition of the NHIF board. Let's just stick with NHIF. The composition of NHIF board is doctors, trade unions, Federation of Kenya Employers.
Yes.
The government has a representation of just, PS sending alternate representation.
The chairman is elected by the CS. The government has 5. Actually, the government is always in all boards.
Of course.
How many members? The government is represented by how many people?
5.
Of course.
Out of 13 members.
How many
14
government
on the board?
officials?
Yeah, out of 14 on the board.
How many
5.
government?
The rest.
No.
Eh?
No. Only KOTU, FKE, and NHIF are the ones not government.
It's 8. It's an 8-member board, right?
The rest are government.
The rest are government.
And
those three represent the Mwananchi.
Yes.
Those 3 are the loudest.
Yeah.
Those 3 have a mandate, a direct mandate of the people.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So when those 3 tell us that they have been outnumbered, they've been
and the mandate is exercised at board level. And
Yes.
I've given you an example
Yes.
of where we object, and you become. Secondly,
you become a minority.
you become a minority. Your objection is noted. You see, and that's how it's like a democracy.
That's how
they
boards
say
work.
It's
Yes.
like a democracy. They say the majority have their way.
The minority have their.
That
have
is
their
an
say.
acceptable way of boards working when the boards
Yeah.
have what you call the public good as their
yes.
interests.
Yes.
And if that particular board, by its actions, have consistently portrayed the complete opposite, then certain things also need to change.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you need to tell me whether. But luckily,
No, we're not asking you to bang tables.
oh,
You see, let me explain.
Okay.
Since you've chosen the path of soft diplomacy, we were having this discussion among ourselves.
Yes.
There is no one in government, no one who is in any position of authority, call it the church, civil society, government, who does not have a doctor.
Yes.
Or who does not at some point or the other receive a doctor. This is why yesterday I was telling you have power.
Yes.
In terms of penetration, you have some of the widest and deepest in the country.
And
No one has it,
No one has it.
more than doctors.
And I agree with you. For instance, and you may not have during, and that's why I said in 2011 we were very happy because our constitution does not allow us to go on strike, bank takeovers, because we had several times we wanted to, and the union is now there.
Your
to do that.
constitution
the
doesn't
union,
allow.
does not allow.
And who created
the
the
union?
constitution?
The union.
The union has that.
Has
the
now
union has taken over
and
that,
we
that
work,
role.
Yeah, and we're very happy
That's
with
fine.
that because you won't legally be tied to your jail there because you've called a constitution and not. Now, soft power. When the union members were jailed, that soft power is what we used to
get them out.
negotiate. Surely you cannot jail doctors. You see, and those are some of the better, but they have agitated.
Actually, you can jail anybody. The only problem is the people who should actually get jailed,
Are not
like
jailed.
the thieves that we have in this
Are not
country,
those doctors.
do not get jailed.
Yes.
Yes. But anybody can be jailed under our constitution.
And that's also the reasoning. So the government is jailing people who are not supposed to be jailed. You see what we are against, and those who are not being jailed. And that's what I was saying. So that's the soft power. Now, I can assure you that the Kenya Medical Association in NHIF board meeting is actually taking care of them.
Okay.
You know about the Kenya Manufacturers Association.
Association.
You know about them?
Sorry?
You know about the Kenya Manufacturers Association?
Know
Kenya
about them in
Association of
terms of, yes, we
Manufacturers,
interact
About
with
Kenya
them as-
Association of Manufacturers,
Yes.
the Kenya Private Sector Alliance.
Yes, yes.
Do you see them banging tables? Do you see them on the streets? But you see them, and you know what they stand for.
And they move things.
True?
Why have you assumed we are not moving things?
Because we don't
Because
see
we don't
you.
know it.
What
This
is your
the thing.
measure?
This is the because
What
let
is
me,
your measure,
let me
for
give you
instance?
a-
Give me one measure.
Give him your measure.
Give me
then
one
let me
measure.
I
help
will
you.
give him my
Let me help
measure.
you in this case.
Take a pause. All the measures that we'll show you. The public perception of the work of the Kenya Medical Association. Secretary General of the Kenya Medical Association is here telling us about the Kenya Medical Association and the work it does. And then we're telling him we don't feel the impact of what you do. And you wanted to be given the
A measure.
examples and measures.
One at a time.
Oh, well, one of the basic things in terms of open communication. You talk about objections being noted. You talk about, you raising an arm up here and there, soft power, as you want to call it, soft diplomacy in which is happening. But the only way anybody can know about it is if you put it out in the public arena.
And we do.
Well,
Let me give you an example. The vice president of Kenya Medical Association is Professor Lukoya Atwoli. Every
We've
week,
heard of him.
every week we have an article. We have an article and dailies, and it's always on what is relevant on that week. So that's an article. Myself, I'm a blogger, social. I put out
You
articles.
appear on radio stations.
I appear in fact, the reason I'm now appearing on a radio station is to improve what we've discovered, that people are not listening to us because you're not calling us to radio stations. So we decided to invite ourselves. So this messaging.
No,
that I'm
we've
doing-
invited you. Let's just
Thank you very much.
let's be clear.
this
But
message.
you actually invited. You campaigned.
You
very well.
do.
Soft power of
you see,
making sure that
previously I wouldn't be doing that. I would
Yeah.
be delivering ladies, and you get what I mean. But when I see that things are going wrong, then I want to come out here and actually tell the public A, B, C, D, because who does not see what we do. And I'm telling you, in terms of messaging, coronavirus, we were the first people to be called by Ministry of Health and say, you're
So
good
there
at
you go. So
messaging,
in
you're
your-
good at messaging.
by your
please
own
send-"
admission-
and we sent out
by your
the
own
messages
admission, the
and
measure that
training.
Ndu has given you, you have by your own admission, you have not been doing that.
Because you want to improve on something. If the only way
what do
you
you
want
mean?
to, the
It
only
hasn't
time
been
you,
there.
the only
No,
ti-
we
you've just
have.
said, Simon, that you are improving. You cannot improve on something that is going
Appearance
well.
on media,
Appearances.
talking about issues that you are pushing for.
No,
Apart
radio.
from one,
Not media.
TV?
Radio.
TV?
TV we go
Where?
often.
Where?
Often. At all. I don't want to, in terms
you
of.
go. There you got all
in
stations,
terms of,
to
no,
all stations.
When you're during all events, like in coronavirus, we are now on TV almost every week. You get what I mean? So it's not that we will be going on TV.
So when we
and-
see a doctor, we assume that's a KMA person. No, we're talking about
Kenya
the
Medical
KMA.
Association.
KMA
Kenya Medical
official.
Association is an umbrella body of all doctors and dentists with an associate membership of all other healthcare cadres, and they're the umbrella, meaning that we have a specialist association. For instance, I, as a gynecologist, am a member of Kenya Obstetric and Gyne Society. But the COGS is the technical aspect of obstetrics and biology. But the umbrella, now when you come talking of corona and doing policy, the COGS feeds into us.
KMA.
You get what I mean? And that's the point. Yes. Therefore, if you see a doctor...
No,
then
we don't want to say that when you see a doctor, we've seen KMA. We need to see KMA officials.
And we do.
The Secretary General of KMA is a spokesperson of KMA.
Correct.
The
And
Secretary General of KMA
how
needs
many
to be
radio
the one
stations
who's
have you
talking.
spoken to
When?
during
This year.
this year of a coronavirus? Say this year.
Our president...
This one is a direct question.
I know. Our president was on TV
let me-
yesterday.
okay,
Let's put it
okay,
this
let me
way.
ask you
Our
the
president
question
was on
again.
TV last week. You get what I mean? So part of the a push, for instance, me being invited to a radio station, I very much appreciated.
Yeah.
Is not in control of the doctor. You see, I need to be called to actually explain. But we have been in TV. I'm on TV again tonight. I'm on TV on Thursday night. You get what I mean?
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, Dr. Kingondo, you talked about the fact that the Ministry of Health called you as KMA and said, okay, KMA, you're very good in messaging. Help us with this coronavirus thing. Can we understand some of the messaging that you then put out? Because this is another form that is extremely important right now. Some of the messaging that has come out from KMA related to the coronavirus. And on what platforms was this shared? How can we know it's coming from you as KMA or from the Ministry of Health?
So as I say, in the dailies, we have people who write, especially the monthly daily, on social media, which is the main form, a very big form of messaging, we put out our messages. You go to KMA Twitter platform, LinkedIn platform, Instagram platform, and the KMA website, then you'll see a bit of messaging, especially the technical part of it. Wash your hands, use sanitizer, social distancing. You see where we are experts of. Yeah, and on radio and TV, we appeared. Our president was on TV yesterday. I don't need to mention the station.
You can say
On Punchline and Kinkuta, K24. They're talking about Corona.
Today is Tuesday,
our
so it
doctor,
wasn't yesterday, it was Sunday. Huh?
Sunday night actually. Our doctor in the same station was there now, the expert in virology.
Right.
Today again, I'll be on another radio station. And this is the measure. But what I'm saying in terms of our measures of healthcare, we have advocated for Human Resources for Health, a health service commission. And we've been to court about this. When they brought in the Cubans, we went to court. We used our members' money to tell people this is not the right direction.
Yep.
When the doctors of the union were jailed, we intervened at the highest possible level. But all this is towards the quality healthcare. When we give declarations that we need trainings of more health workers, then the implementer, how we approach it is that unless you change the government, you have to advise and work with the government for them to provide the services that they are supposed to provide to the services. So we keep giving them advice on that. Let me now go to NHIF, I've said, and with time, maybe in a few years' time, we'll come again and say, did KMA again contribute to NHIF? But even our biggest problem now is that NHIF is being fought. And for us, we look at it as one of the avenues to achieving...
NHIF is being fought by?
Okay, their interest...
I thought it's fighting itself.
No, it's being fought.
By whom?
Their interest, go ahead.
Yeah, their interest, actually, that's the one.
By whom?
By competitors.
But this isn't new.
Yes, but it's very effective now. For instance, when you start subjecting NHIF to IRA, that's wrong. It's a social insurance. It's not a private health insurer, so to speak.
But I mean, it's been providing premium schemes for which we saw would be ended as of yesterday. So
that's a bad thing.
But it's been providing it all along. So
no, ending is a bad thing.
As a social insurer, it's been providing this service, and now the competition has been pushing for NHIF to join IRA, to be regulated under IRA, and so we can say we are playing the level playing field, so that the insurance companies can now
as a social insurance scheme, that is wrong.
So there are all those people who are fighting, and then they have
we speak against that.
Now,
because
when you speak against that, because you are the ones who are supposed to be there to protect that social insurance,
and we are,
and you're supposed to be there protecting, you need to also come out strongly in the fight for the defense of NHIF.
But that's what you're doing.
Doing it in the boardroom, and this is the feedback that we're giving you. Doing it in the boardroom and, keeping quiet in the boardroom, and you're being outnumbered, and, well, not keeping quiet, but just...
Not useful.
Just containing it in the boardroom as a boardroom conversation.
Useful.
When the fight is being fought out there, doesn't help.
Let me ask you.
When I tell you today, if I ask you the name of Felix Okiaga, who is Felix Okiaga? People will tell you.
I don't know.
Kenya Association of Manufacturers. I have never met the person, but I know because they're in the media so often over issues.
Yes.
I've had to know who this person is.
Something comes up and they jump out and they have something to say about it.
Let me see.
Whether it's positive or negative, they're saying something about it.
When you talk about taking those cases to court, start with coming to the public and saying, this is what we stand for, and we are going to...
Or are you saying the media doesn't give you enough?
No. Let me tell you. You must start with the end in mind. Yeah, me coming to today here, let's say I say, NHIF, we need to do ABCD, does not move anyone in NHIF to do that. But it's good, it informs the public, which we always do.
It does apply pressure.
Dr. Tell me, would NHIF function if there were no doctors?
It does apply pressure.
Would it function if there was no medical fraternity?
No.
Okay. All these people who make decisions, wherever it is they come from, would they actually function healthily without the medical practice?
No.
So, why we keep challenging you, you seem to be forwarding this message that you're helpless, and we keep telling you are not.
You're actually more powerful than you would imagine.
Actually, helplessness is your word. What we are saying, no.
so.
Helplessness is your word.
What you're
because
saying is
what we
your
are saying,
choice of strategy.
yes. Thank you very much.
Now
Ellie.
we are questioning that strategy, and we're telling you that strategy of yours. Yes,
The soft
you may
diplomacy
look
is
at it
not
and see
going
that
to work in
soft
this
diplomacy
case.
is working for us,
Yeah.
but it's not working
It
for
is not working.
your stakeholders.
Okay.
Your
Which is
stakeholders
us.
are not with you.
Let me give you an. Let
We
me
are
ask
not
you
with
directly
you because we don't know what you're doing.
We have done okay
Ask
information.
directly, Dr.
We've gotten. So we need to give you information. Let's say.
Yes.
You get what I mean, and which we do. It's only that just the way I don't know. Okio, you called him who?
Phyllis.
Her.
I can also come and say, Okiara, I don't
no,
know him. He never gives us
wa-
information.
wa-
Yeah?
yeah.
You get what I mean? Because his measure is that, he's in the media, so he knows me. I don't know him.
You know Okiya Omtata.
Okiya Omtata, we went to court twice
You
to
used-
help the Kenyans. I wrote the affidavit
Why did
for the
why did you
unconstitutional-
use Okiya Omtata to go to court?
Why did we?
Why did you just go without him?
Why didn't you go on your own?
Because
Ask
we
him,
went
man.
without him and lost. Then we went. You get my point. Are you seeing what? So we are saying.
Did the judge tell you go and come back here with
and
Okiya
bring Okiya
Omtata?
Omtata?
No.
So
You
why
had
did you
heard
decide to
about
go
him.
with him? Because you had heard about him.
Yeah.
And you knew
There you go.
exactly.
But at that
That's the
point,
point.
at that
effective.
point, at that point, we need to take a case to court. You
Yes.
get what I mean? And we are saying we've lost here the first round. So what do? We'll do our research. You see, does not mean that there are many people who sue that we did not go with, for instance.
course, yeah.
It's not because
You looked for the most effective.
is he effective?
Yes,
Today-
he is.
Oh, 100%.
Yes, he
Well,
is.
you have him.
Yes,
no,
it is.
not necessarily
You
because
use
He was-
your measure of effectiveness, meaning that what we were looking for, we still have.
Okay,
not
so
found.
in this case,
You
when
get-
you went with him to court, what was the result?
What was the
What
result?
was the result when you went with him?
We-
the first time you
Because
said you lost.
we in quotes,
As
the
it is,
judge,
someone-
we-
come on,
in-
Simon.
Wait, in
Uh-huh.
quotes, they did not grant us what we want, and we appealed. In fact, the case is still in court. You get what I mean? And the case was very simple about unconstitutional devolution of health. The way we thought health should be devolved.
What was the end that you had in mind when you were picking Okiya Omtata? Not by going to court,
Yeah.
but by deciding to pair up with Okoiti Omtata.
The end in mind.
Yes.
Yes.
To win, so to speak. Let's say.
Because you had options. There are many civil society bodies that you could have also joined to do the same thing, but you chose this individual. There's a point we get, Daktari,
I'm listening.
we support your initiatives.
Thank you.
We even like the plans you have.
Yeah.
We would like the successes that you've had with your members replicated to the public. And the only people who can do these things is actually just you.
Yeah.
There is no alternative body to Kenya Medical Association
True.
that we can go to.
True.
Okay? It is you.
Yeah.
And it is you who represents all the doctors in this country.
True.
And the doctors' voices is a really serious voice.
And it is, and I'll give you an example. The health laws were suddenly changed. One day we woke up, our surveillance team, our policy team told us, by their way, they have changed laws. They do that a lot between 2013 and I call it Jubilee legalese. You know, one day when they can't sort your problem, they
change the law.
They change the law.
Yes.
You know, and I've written about it. Of course, you've never heard it. You'll say,
No, we haven't.
But my blog,
Alright.
simonkigondo.blogspot, if you go through that, then you'll see. So they'll call me the only fourth. Now, they changed the laws. Health Amendment Laws, 2017. What did they do? In the KMPDB Act, Cap 253, they said delete 3, delete 4, delete 5. Yeah? So what does that mean? They wanted to remove KMA from
The board.
medical board. Why? We've been disturbing them for so long. You know, when you ask someone, when you check them, then they want to remove you. And we went to court, we went to parliament, and eventually they said it was put under, we are going to Mongozo, so we need a 9-board member. Previously, 5 places of the medical board were elected positions, and the doctors come and elect, and the other 8 were from the government. You get, of course, the government always has.
Dr. we understand.
Wait, let me give you a question. Currently, and as a result of that, KMA was retained as one of the members on the board. The other one is Kenya Dental Association, the ones you call. Now, yesterday, in the COVID virus attack, some fellow was selling fake test kits. I don't know whether you saw
Yes,
that.
we
advert.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. So they called us from the guy said, KMA, do you
You're a
support
member.
this? So we said, our member called us. He said, no, this looks wrong. So what do we do? As a member of the medical board, council now, it's medical council. When they're arrested, close the place. You get my point. And that's how our involvement. Anyone else, you would have just complained, but that's our role. So we are in the medical council to look after the interest. So you can imagine that guy has said he has 400 kits to test for corona. Everyone will be running there. He would profit for nothing. We are also members of the Pharmacy and Poisons Board as per the Health Amendments Act. We are saying. So we also influence these medication and drugs. We are pushing towards manufacturing of drugs into this country. We are also members of Association of Professional Societies of East Africa, which we have pushed through it, that's soft diplomacy, some of the issues that lead to professionals. The biggest problem we're having in this country is that professionals are not listened to, but all their proposals are done.
Oh, the lawyers are listened to.
They're listened to. Let me tell you something. There's a certain power that somebody within a closed arena has over you, especially when they know that what you're doing is not put out in the public.
Okay.
And they're able to hold that power over you because they know that you're not putting out there at regular intervals.
Okay.
Now, you'll see that agitation works when it comes into the public sphere.
Yes.
And that is what we are encouraging you to do at this point. Everything you say,
Okay.
everything you object to, everything you agitate for.
We tell you.
Every advice that you
Absolutely.
Make
give
it
as well.
public. And
Because the
listen,
people who are fighting you are aware that everybody else knows.
We know that doctors aren't trained to agitate. There's nothing in your training, absolutely nothing,
that would prepare you for that.
for this. But given the times in which you live,
Yes.
and given the responsibility that unfortunately is on your shoulders
You
by
got to
virtue
adapt.
of being leaders within this community, in a specific field that there is no one else, you have no competition. You have no choice but to step up.
And
Very good.
agitation, Daktari, does not necessarily mean that you are taking
Go
up
shouting.
arms and go shouting.
No,
and, you know, Nope.
not necessarily.
That's
Just
true. And
give
we have
us more
driven
and more
ourselves into
information.
the COVID-19 task force, and now things are starting to move.
0719-012-600. Any questions or comments to the Kenya Medical Association Secretary General, Dr. Simon Kigondu? Frederick is calling in from Mombasa. Good morning, Frederick.
Good morning. How are you, Eric, City, and Nku, together with Daktari?
Good morning,
We are fine,
Frederick.
thank you,
Thank
Fred.
you, Fred. Mombasa
I
kwambaje?
can see that Mombasa Prima. I can see Daktari is trying to sit pretty while feathers are being plucked from him. And it's very comfortable. I also want to pluck a few more feathers from you, Dr. Simon. Don't
Yes.
worry. There's no other way to sit on that seat than the way you're sitting on it.
I'm used.
Yeah, number one, I think doctors are trained to be these polite people and patient people looking at patients.
Yeah.
And there are simple things that I think the KMA should have helped us. I've never had a KMA until you started calling at the Spice, and I'm a regular listener. Simple things. Number one, there is not a doctor or a pharmacist is not supposed to sell medicine without a prescription. KMA has never been vocal on that a very simple directive. Is it true or false? Number one. How many doctors, rogue doctors, have you flashed out and are in prison by checking, self-checking on seeing who are doing bad things where and when? There are some cases of wrong medication. Doctors have been sued. The best thing KMA can do is to come and defend them because they're defending their own thing. I think in this country we have a system of making things not to work, a jammed system deliberately. Because how is KMA sitting in NHIF and we've got bad things that are happening at NHIF and we never speak about them? A friend of mine once told me 4 people you should be afraid of. One is God, the second one is the doctor, the wife, and the judge, who can make your life turn around at any time. Doctors should, when you speak on LinkedIn and social media, that mama at Siaya, where I come from, they never know about these things you're talking about. Simple things. Kindly do simple things simply.
Thank you, Frederick.
Thank you.
Yes, I do. Respond to those ones, Daktari.
Yes. Let's distinct between Kenya Medical Association, which is not the regulatory board.
Yep.
There's the Kenya Medical Practitioners Dentist Council, in which KMA is one of the board members.
Yes.
So our issues, any issues dealing with disciplinary, they go there. And there's a process. Part of the people do not have patience with process, or when judgments don't necessarily go their way, but it has gone through the medical council, then if you feel like, you are not... it did not go on your side, then people but there's a medical council process.
There's a
the
medical
PIC
council
and
which
now,
you play
let me
a
finish
central
1 second.
role in. Yes, go
One
ahead.
finish. The prescription part is under the Pharmacy and Poisons Board.
Yes.
And the Pharmacy
you
and
sit
Poisons
in
Board.
the same board.
Yes, and Pharmacy and Poisons Board have actually, you see some of the things you can't know which is a fake pharmacy, which is not a pharmacy we're selling without fake. And there are actually guidelines in terms of prescription. There's some you can go to do an expose, go to a pharmacy. If a pharmacy sells you a prescription drug without a prescription, then you can report them. And if you go outside pharmacies, PPB have done a good job of giving a code to all pharmacies. You go to each pharmacy, and therefore that would be a failure on the individual pharmacist if they sell you a prescription drug with a non-prescription. So, and then we've mentioned that wrong medication and that, yeah. So it's the board. So Kenya Medical Force agitates for the quality healthcare.
There's a reason why you are members of all these boards.
Yes.
You're members of the council.
Yes.
You're members of the board. Why? Because of what you started by saying.
Yes.
It's important to have the professionals represented in these bodies.
Yeah.
Now, if the professionals represented in those bodies are not active in ensuring that proper structures and proper procedures are followed, or even that proper information is disseminated to the public, then that representation in that body is as useless as you not being there.
And the problem with representation, you people tend to magnify the wrong things. You get the
No, we want you to magnify everything.
99%, for instance, of the medical council cases are done and dusted with, but you won't hear it. But that
how
one person,
would we know if we're not told? How would we know?
I think also when
Let me
you
ask the
when you
question.
don't hear it and someone I've actually said, then that person who has not heard it made up. For instance,
No, not as individuals. I'm talking about the media. If there was a case that was in the media and it was an adverse case and it's settled, the media would like to air it and say this is what came out of it.
And COVID yesterday, someone selling fake COVID test. You have chosen to. We closed. We went and closed.
It was covered.
And
Why?
It's covered.
That's the point.
It's
That's
covered.
my point.
But
you see, nowhere in that place will you see Kenya Medical Association. You get, but our input was there. Yeah.
Of course not. But also, it doesn't mean that you must always speak when the council is speaking. You can say as KMA, well, we are noticing that there's a trend of these things happening in our profession, and we'd like to set the record straight as KMA.
We always do.
You are not contradicting the council. You're not contradicting the Poisons Board.
It's a work in progress. What would you say beyond the thinking and the ethos behind your actions are the things that you will do, as you say,
moving forward?
Yes.
I'll give you. Let's come back for you to give a response to that as we get to the top of the hour. Take a look at traffic. I would like to have you on for a few more minutes so we can give us those closing remarks. C.T. Muga, what is today's proverb?
A large chair does not make a king.
Do you feel that now, Dr.
My end point is
a large
patient
chair does
welfare.
not mean the
whether
king.
I'm a king or not, is really neither here nor there. End point, very important.
This is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. We have in the studio Dr. Simon Kigondu. He is the Secretary General of the Kenya Medical Association. We'll ask him to stay with us for a few more minutes, like 10 minutes, so we can just conclude this conversation and then we switch gears into the next conversation. Remember, you can call in as well, 0719-012-600 if you have any question or comment to give the medical professionals. 0719-012-600. Steve in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, how is everyone?
We're well, thank you.
Good. I wanted to contribute onto the show. And first of all, let me just say that your show is great, and I believe everybody's being informed. Quickly to the doctor. I think I'm hoping that from your contributions he has gotten to understand your case, and or rather that the members of the public do not know what is happening, and that they need to come out and express themselves to us so that we understand and support them in all that they do. I want to I remember asking a friend during the strike that why you guys striking about pay? What is it about pay? But when you sat down and they explained, there are no gloves in the theater and things, medicine and all that, I told them that is not what is coming out. What is coming out is that you're agitating for pay. Yes, pay is part of it, but if there are no facilities to work with, and that is not coming out clearly to the members, then there is a problem. Now, when it comes to like this, the case of the virus that we are currently having, there are a lot of information that is flying from one end to the other, and most of it was happening through social media. That KMA, for one reason or the other, their voice was not being heard, or the doctors were not being heard on the point. So I believe, I am hoping that the doctor, if they look at their structure in their organization, probably they should go back and say that, fine, we are doctors, we have the technical point, we understand the technical bit. They should then consult or get somebody like, for example, somebody who has been in the media and tell them, okay, fine.
This is how to structure your messaging.
Go out and be able to structure your message so that because yes, you'll be saying, Kenyans also don't read. People don't read. So there's certain articles that you would put, they say, there's an article that comes in the paper like every week. I'm sure people glance, KMA, it's medical, but just passes through over it, and we don't get to follow. But I would urge them to seriously look at how they could message and put their message together so that the common mwananchi, there is something that I like that one of the presenters say that they have the largest, or rather they are capable of reaching the grassroots because they actually have a one-on-one with the Kenyan voter.
Right.
If they tell the Kenyan voter on a daily basis. When I go to, I'm going to be, I give a case, like about a month ago, there is this universal health care thing that is being piloted around the country. And I was at the Kisumu General Hospital. And it took from picking your ticket, picking a ticket to be seen by the doctor, and going through the whole procedure or test and everything, a whole day.
Whoa.
A whole day. From picking your the ticket from the counter, and then you go just for the what you call this
triage.
They take your first of all your pressure, your blood pressure,
your vitals,
your weight, and then you wait to see the doctor. That took like three hours. Then you get to see the doctor, and this is by chance that you were able to get in onto from the wrong side of the where everybody was waiting for you. Get into the wrong side. Oh, this is the door that gets into the doctor, and the doctor happens to see you. Then he said that you're sent to probably, okay, now let's go and see, go and get if it's a lab test or an X-ray or whatever.
Takes long.
A lab
Steve,
test.
we get the point. We get the point. You were raising a point here about doctors having access to the people on a daily basis. What point were you making?
The point is that I think they should be able. From that point, they should be able to talk to the common wananchi and tell them this is what is happening, because this is what we are trying to do for you.
Right.
And not even that. Even as much as they tell us what they are trying to do for us, when we go to their facilities, we should see something moving, because in our country right now, nothing is moving. Nothing moves.
Thank you, Steve.
We will have organizations like the doctors making saying that they're making noise, but
we don't see
there's nothing moving.
Thank you, Steve. Let's hear this. Let's hear now the doctor responding to that.
All right, thank you.
You've managed to bring in some support, but I also my best. But we get the message, and I think 2020. This is the year our strategic plan is being done this year, and from what is coming out, I think media and messaging has to come out big. And one of the suggestions the gentleman has made there of
your advocacy role,
getting a media
not being effective.
Yeah, so we need to make the advocacy role in media in terms of. Actually, I don't agree with you. Our advocacy role actually works. It's only that what has succeeded is not coming out.
If it works, why do you think we ask you so many questions? If it actually works, you see, this isn't something you judge for yourselves.
Okay, the examiner is on the other side.
Yes, this is something that the consumer, who is us,
the person who should feel the effects,
feedback. And perhaps let me give you some other feedback. Do you know how the common mwananchi looks at a doctor? Do you know what you perceive you as? it may be unfair, but we place a great deal of responsibility on the shoulders of a doctor.
You know everything.
Yes, and as a result of that, we expect a lot. Now, it may also be unfair. So when you hear all these things coming up, and you hear people talking about what they expect, please understand it's from a background of respect and then expectations of what doctors represent. The majority of our people are poor, and so they are most likely to be unwell. Now, when you have a country where people postpone illness because they cannot afford it.
And this came out very well. He said during the strike, when we went on industrial action, we have there's another side. The other side are propagating the story that these doctors just want money. And they have a bigger budget. Let's put it that way in terms of propaganda. And let me give why the strike, for instance, was effective. And I can attribute it to our media. Media needs money. If I am to air a show, for instance, I may need to pay for it or something. Generally, how media generates.
Not may, you will need to pay for it.
You will need to pay for it.
This,
and therefore,
a
a story from the doctor is usually not very sweet unless it's negative.
No, news you don't pay for news.
Not
Actual
news. Things like articles,
things that you
shows.
need to do.
And let me tell you.
Use the news space, because that's where you play.
Let me give you now the practical example. During the 2017 100-day strike, news media for 3 weeks were paid not to air the doctor strike. A strike is only as effective as is visible, and I agree with you in terms of media. So what did we do? We went to social media. We did our own. I am a cameraman. On my side, in fact, this concept of things that are not seen, are not there. You get? So I take a lot of photos. You'll see over my life, I take videos from all those days over and above. My father was a photographer, so I sort of borrowed, but the video part is for me effective. So what did we do? For 3 weeks, we aired it on our social media pages. And if you go to my YouTube page, in 2017, my YouTube channel, those were the videos now, 3 weeks later, being used by media. Say, hey, all of a sudden, this thing looks like a big thing, but media blackout is the way government operates.
The accusation here that you've made is that media was paid.
I've heard that.
Not to cover.
I've heard that.
You have absolutely no evidence to this.
And that no evidence is always used. So
okay.
You pay for content or no content.
You know, from a discipline where the entire practice is based on something that can be determined simply by proof. It's a bit rich.
So you know that thing they call that thing they call sources.
So you went.
So for instance, our social media,
and you said that your social media was the one that was most effective. In rallying the public to your cause.
Yes.
So with those lessons, let's just assume that the media did not work in your favor. With those lessons, why haven't you then carried on?
So we have, but in our space. And what you're saying is probably our space. It works, yes, in times of crisis, for instance. And that's why I'm here, because a lot of people are listening in on this show. You see, you also evolve and say, Spice is a good show. It's actually bringing the consciousness of the country to question, and I like the question. I like being questioned. That's a very good challenge of your media is not reaching the people. But the other ways in which Kenya Medical Association works, for instance, medical camps, the person we reached may not come out to the media to tell you we actually treated them. The one-on-one doctors have with clients then may not reach you. But we've had that our media interaction and messaging to people may not be that effective so far.
The media we're trying to say can be a useful ally.
Dr. Your advocacy is not effective.
Again,
put it pure and simple. If your advocacy was effective, NHIF would be working.
NHIF is working. You see, NHIF, let me tell you, such statements, Eric, when you throw such a statement.
But you have just told us here you have issues with NHIF.
I am covered by the comprehensive cover of NHIF. It has not failed my people. So now I've become the Mwananchi.
Your comprehensive cover is expiring when?
When Eric
on the 31st of March.
Is it expiring?
And March 31st.
So NHIF is it working for you? Again, check your facts. NHIF denied again. So And it's why? Because we made noise. We said, no, this is the path to UHC. Me, myself.
We're not saying that the Kenya Medical Association is doing nothing.
Okay,
No.
thank you.
Let me start by saying you are doing many wonderful things.
Thank
now,
you.
I speak from a position of knowledge here,
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah.
We are saying that, however, or nonetheless,
Yeah.
that having been done, there is a lot more that an association with the power that
Correct.
you have should do, can do, must do.
I agree
That
with you.
really
Yeah.
is what we're trying
That's the
to say.
message, yeah.
And when these things are brought up, like what doctors supposedly charge,
Yeah.
issues that make the migration of many Kenyans to India as opposed to staying in Kenya,
Hospitals keeping, bodies
Patients
whereby
are-
keeping patients,
yes.
charging them for the rest of their
these
lives.
are things that matter to the public,
Correct.
and we have to bring them to your doorstep. We don't, as I said, we don't have an alternative.
Yeah.
Because
There's
the
no
question
Kenya
is, who do
where do you
people
want
go
us
to
to go
for
to?
answers?
And I also want you to acknowledge
and your
what
role
has been done.
is to advocate for us.
we
we
can
are to
only
ensure that
ac-
those
you
things
can
that have been
imagine
mentioned
Yeah.
are not being
Are
mentioned.
taken care of.
The
are
three
sorted
of
When
us
I
can
say
acknowledge
it's not
something.
effective,
It is
those are the
impossible.
examples I have.
You can imagine something that is impossible.
Yeah.
It is impossible for
Yeah.
the public to acknowledge something of which they have no knowledge of.
True. And hence, sometimes even the approach telling them on media may not work. You just go do a medical camp. You get that person will appreciate. And unfortunately, we change one life at a time. But now we have come to the policy issue which we see affects. And therefore, when we push for policy, for instance, Eric has never, a Health Service Commission, we've been advocating for it, for good management. We know, once you instill a Health Service Commission, that fellow who is waiting in Kisumu for 2 hours, why is he waiting? The governor has failed to pay his people. The governor has paid to employ. But we have said there's a Health Service Commission. Professor Toli and I, we have written the bill. We have given them, tell them to do. We have put it on social media. You get the point.
Yes, and we're trying to tell you that is effort that is being misdirected. It's like saying that you want to go to Kisumu and you're heading towards Mombasa. You will never get to Kisumu.
We go to the people.
My brother. Even when you talk about having, what are these outreaches, medical outreaches?
Medical camps. Yeah.
Medical camps.
Yeah.
They serve an excellent service for that week.
Yep.
Thereafter, they serve a better interest for those who participated to feel they've done good.
Yeah.
If there isn't a facility for follow-up, because what you unearth perhaps are illnesses that haven't been attended to.
Yes.
And they haven't been because maybe the facilities that exist can't handle them.
Yeah.
In the absence of follow-up, people are going to have to wait for another year for such a camp. I'm saying you people have wonderful intentions.
Yeah.
You mean well.
Yeah.
We're trying to tell you, tweak it.
There's room.
Tweak it.
Daktari, asante sana for coming.
Yeah.
Your final comments.
My final comment, I'm actually going for the training of COVID-19 because we fought again.
19.
COVID-19, yeah. We fought for...
Or is there another virus we don't know about?
COVID.
Did you let the cat out of the bag, Dr.
Because
Kingon?
as Kenya Medical Association, we are very worried about the frontline workers.
Yes.
So in the meeting yesterday, we advocated for a scale-up of training of the professionals who are actually handling the people. And we want to train the health teams, everyone, doctors, clinical officers, nurses, and the people, including the records person,
everyone.
Someone is coming, everyone in a health system. So that I'm going for that training at Kavi, in the University of Nairobi. We've got people from all over the country, specific chosen, who will then go and escalate the training downstairs using the Kenya Medical Association divisions to spread this. Unfortunately, I did not say this yesterday. I'm going to say it today again so that people know we are actually doing. And we urge people to actually, the measures that are proposed by the professionals, please keep it up. And at home, keep your children at home. Don't go to the movies and things like that. When you're told stay at home, stay at home. When you're told use sanitizer, wash your hands with soap and water, then I think this will help. And this is how epidemics are managed. The other thing is that we need to direct our leaders to improve the economy. A lot of the issues we are having is people looking for bread and butter, and therefore they substitute what they're doing with something else. For instance, you have people acting as doctors because they want to make an extra buck, yet they're not. We have task shifting and all. And we must advocate for a health service commission and a tax-funded, public-led universal health coverage.
Should we have a complete lockdown? Because you're telling us, well, the kids are at home, don't take them to the movies, don't take them to the malls, don't go into public places. Is that what we should be told?
During an epidemic, an epidemic is an evolving, ideally, ideally, we should have a lockdown. It's called flattening the curve. So if you now limit the number of people who have actually getting it,
exposed.
and then and in a lockdown, if you now trace all the people who are in contact with COVID 1, 2, 3, and actually sort them out, then you'll have sorted. Then you secure the borders and routes of entry. Then you'll have sorted out your epidemic in your country. Unfortunately, we've had our first case in Somalia and Tanzania. Now, again, you need to improve on the border health protocols.
Thank you very much, Dr. Harry. We'll invite you again to come. Let's talk about what your work is. We give you, this is an open platform.
Yes.
Kindly use it.
Congratulations. Very good program.
Asante sana.
Thank you.